Hi, welcome back to another episode of the Vartek Podcast, where we invite you to take a bite out of knowledge. I'm Misty Oerther, Director, Technology Integration. I'm joined today by my colleague, Jamie Martin, Director, Customer Experience. Welcome, Jamie. What are we going to talk about today?
Thanks, Misty. I'm excited to be here. Today, we're going to dive into the history of Vartek, who we are, and how we work with schools today.
Fantastic. Let's get started. Talk to me about who is Vartek.
Yeah, so Vartek is a strategic partner to schools, and we say your vision, your school's vision is our mission. And what that means, Misty, is you have a vision for your school. And our mission as your partner for education and technology is to help you achieve that vision.
How do you define the values of your company in order to lead education in the right direction?
Right. I think core values are really important for individuals and businesses, and Vartek is no different. And for us, being in the education industry, our values happen to spell the word apple. And so I'll go through them a little bit now, and we can kind of talk about why they're important to us and how we look for these in individuals and in our own services that we provide to our schools. And so our first Apple value is accountability. And so, Missy, this means that we are accountable to measurable outcomes. We hold ourselves accountable. We're reliable, dependable, and that is what we look for in individuals that join our team as well. We also believe in preparation. And Missy, I know you know this too. We love to prepare others as well as ourselves for conversations that we want to have. But this also goes to helping our schools prepare for years to come through strategic planning and IT budgeting and preparing multi-year plans around asset refreshes and blended learning. So preparation comes in a lot of shapes and sizes for us, and we hold that very, very highly in our company.
Absolutely.
And I think performance is one that may get overshadowed by others, but really we look for high performers. We want people to be outstanding customer service individuals. They're, customer service oriented. We look for people who are, looking to grow and are going to take our career path that we have and really put it to the test and better themselves and always seeking high performance. And so that is another value of ours.
Absolutely. I love that we are in a position to be able to set the bar for the people that we put into schools to help drive their mission and vision.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And here's one that I think you'll be able to speak to even more, Misty, and L for learning. As an education company, we like to say we put our money where our mouth is, and we encourage ongoing professional development. And do you want to talk a little bit about this one too, about what this means to us as a company?
Sure. Yeah. So we believe that learning is an opportunity that should be ongoing. It should be a lifetime challenge for us. So we strive to find lifetime learners, people who are passionate about education and education technology, and people who want to continue to learn and grow. As Jamie mentioned earlier, our career path is very important to us. So not only do we invest our time into employees to continue this L value, but we also have money set aside to offer to employees to use for professional learning, professional growth, so that they continue to follow along those paths.
Right. And that kind of leads us to our last one, which is evolution. And we wouldn't be in the education and technology industries if we couldn't evolve. We wouldn't be where we are after 31 years, which I'll talk about here in a minute, if we didn't evolve ourselves as a company and ourselves as individuals. And so at our core, we believe in innovation and flexibility and evolution. And in our partnerships, you can see that as we've evolved to be the partner that our schools need at that time.
Yes. And to speak to that a little bit, I know in just a moment you're going to talk to us about the history of Vartek and what that looks like. And one thing I want to point out is that these core values have been a part of the company for a long time, but I love to see how they're applicable within the evolution of what we do or have done in the past here at Vartek. So walk us through the history of the company a little bit.
Yeah, thanks. Like I said earlier, we've been around since 1989. We started as a two-man company building and selling computers. And through evolution and what the market was telling us, we saw that there was this opportunity to go beyond the equipment sale and really start to help those, especially in education, utilize the technology that they've purchased. And so, you know, Misty, that's like, we've been talking about that. That's like the now what part
Right.
of technology and education is we've got the equipment, but now what? And so for us early on, that was providing, you know, the individuals on a team to support teachers in their classrooms. And we moved into a managed services model. And now we're in this new, you know, transitional phase where we're going beyond that even.
Yes.
And so, you know, we've spent a lot of time working with a lot of different kinds of schools, public, private, independent. It's given us a really good breadth of knowledge around that. And Misty, you know, tell us a little bit about some of the school environments that we've seen and supported, especially from your perspective.
Right. Yeah. So like you've mentioned, we work in a lot of different school buildings, whether those are public, private, whatever that looks like. But I think what's really cool that we're able to offer is that vast experience in different platforms, whether that's Google, whether that's Microsoft, whether that's an Apple, whatever the school environment is, we have people on the team who are able to evolve and adapt to that environment, become, if they're not already experts, become experts in an educational technology environment like the school that they're placed in. And then they can begin to talk to teachers and support other educators in the area of technology integration, whether that's driving professional learning or whether that's supporting an initiative that the district has put in place. I love this fourth bullet on the list. So why don't you talk to us about that one?
Sure. So as we developed our niche in education, we knew that you know, educators relate to educators, and so we recognized the ability to take someone who has been in the classroom's experience and really you know, help amplify that connection between classroom and technology. And so this is something we're really proud of. We have almost a quarter of our employees have an education background. They've spent time in the classroom. They come to us with advanced education degrees. And Misty, I mean, with you leading the I team, you know all about this. But this is really important for us to take that next step beyond and to enhance our IT services. So tell me a little bit about some of the educators on our team.
Great. So we have a decent sized team of educators that are placed in our schools. What I think is really cool about the way our team works is there is a person on the ground to kind of handle the day-to-day, manage the day-to-day, understand what the needs are in a particular district, and then drive, you know, the mission and vision for that district based on professional learning opportunities or support, whether that's in technology. I know this last bullet speaks to that, where, you know, 80,000 plus devices supported daily. That is a really strong connection between our the technology side of our company, whether that's ITSS support or, you know, administration support, whatever that looks like, and our integration team. So they're working together. We have set the bar pretty high for our integration folks as far as required education, and we continue to evolve that process as well, and continue to grow that team so that they're best supporting their schools, and also that they're leaders in that area. So not just that they know what to do, but they're able to lead the thought and the direction of that. And administrators are able to rely on us for that kind of information and that kind of support.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So, Misty, I know as we go into the next one, we're going to talk a little bit about how we build our partnerships and how we support our schools, right?
Yes. Yeah, so this is one of my favorite things to walk through. We know that a school's vision becomes our mission, and that doesn't just happen overnight. It's a long process that includes a lot of different steps. So let's take a look at what that is. We model this in a pyramid format because we think it's important to show the growth and the layering of each piece of our puzzle here. One of the things that we start with is IT leadership. So this includes strategic planning. We bring in members of our leadership team as needed, our people on the ground, and they work collaboratively with district leaders to determine where are you now and where do you want to go in education technology. Then we move into kind of the next colors here. So the next one we'll talk about is yellow, which is technology implementation. So one of the first things we need to do is make sure that we're working in a technology stable environment. So that might include, direct support, networking support, whatever that looks like, break fix support. We want to make sure that we have that all in place, that we're supporting the technology that we want to drive and continue to integrate into the classrooms.
We want to make sure it works, right?
Exactly.
We want to make sure our teachers can count on it.
For sure. So once we have that kind of stabilized and sometimes in tandem with that step, we also talk about technology integration. And again, this starts with some strategic planning and some thought conversations to determine where is a school as far as technology integration goes. Are they just using tools for the sake of using tools? Are they incorporating technology because they know they're supposed to? Or are they really driving their learning and meeting their learning objectives using the technology that's provided to them? So we're able to put integration coaches in place that can drive that professional learning, increase the integration process. So not just how to use a tool, but how to use it to reach your students, creating engagement in the classroom, because we know the last piece of the puzzle is student engagement. That's incorporated in nearly every vision statement I've seen for a school in my experience in education. The goal is to engage students and continue to move them into forward progress.
Right. Yeah. I think, like any good pyramid, it's built on a solid foundation. And that's very important to us. And when the blue and the yellow layers, if you will, are in good working order and in place, we can really help schools and really help teachers see the possibilities.
Yes.
And transforming learning.
For sure. One thing I would mention here also is, the blue and the yellow need continuous support. Right. Technology works great when it works great, but tomorrow there might be a fluke that's causing something to go off balance. So in order to keep those red and green layers stable as well, the yellow and blue are super important. Our technology experts are so good at making sure the environment is stable on a continuing basis. So we don't just come in and set you up the way you're supposed to be set up and then walk away and let the integration happen. It can't work that way. Right. It's such a blended and circular, involved, linked, whatever term you want to use. It's a relationship that really needs to happen in conjunction with each other.
Right. Yeah. And I'm going to take that a step further, or maybe even a step backwards. We'll see how it works out. But that is our business model and how we look to partner with our schools and why we believe the solutions that we can build that are tailored to our schools and customized can work. But it's also built on industry best practices. And so COSIN, the Consortium for School Networking, has put out these best practices around what makes a successful educational technology environment. And so Misty, I'm going to go through these. They're broken out into layers, 3 layers in particular, 10 areas of expertise. And the first one, which aligns with our bottom layer of our pyramid for COSIN is leadership and vision. It's understanding, taking where a school wants to go and laying out the roadmap to help them get there. It's understanding ethics and policies and strategic planning.
Yeah, I agree. I think this first bullet point here really speaks to what we do in that blue layer. It really digs into how we're able to support.
Right. And this happens both at the local level on our teams on the ground, but also with our leadership team.
Yeah.
This is where we really surround our operations teams and provide them with an additional level of leadership and strategic planning where we work together really. And this is unique to the K-12 world. And this is why it's really important for COSIN, but it's understanding the educational environment.
Right.
Misty, you know this, you've been in schools. Educational environments are not like corporate or, private businesses or, government entities. Instructional focus and professional development are so critical in education, right? Understanding how to build a team and how to coach and nurture those team members. And then thinking about all the stakeholders, which in a school, Misty, tell us a little bit about who all those stakeholders are in a school.
Right. So I feel like a stakeholder list for a school is never ending and always evolving. But, you're dealing with a relationship between school administration, from superintendents to principals to, individual school leaders. And then you're also thinking about the board and those checks and balances that they provide to decision making and how important that is. So we often have conversations with board members to explain what we do and how we're here to help. And then, obviously we're working with parents, we're working with students as necessary. We're helping our schools have those conversations as well. So we're including all of those folks in addition to community members who might be very involved in the education of their local district. So it's all encompassing, kind of thinking about who all those important pieces and parts are to the puzzle of creating that student engagement.
Right, exactly. That community just keeps growing as we reach students in new ways now. And then this final section of best practices, according to COSIN, is managing technology and support resources. And so this is, I think, what people traditionally think of as IT management. It's the information technology, communication systems management, business management, and data management. This is what we see working in a lot of schools without necessarily the focus on education and the focus on leadership and vision. And so like I said, this is in alignment with how we build our solutions and we work with our schools, and it's something we draw on for best practices from COSIN. I'm going to hand it over to Misty because this is her realm in terms of connecting the classroom and technology, and we look at bridging that gap with a couple different methodologies that schools are using. So Misty, I'm going to ask you to talk a little bit about the SAMR model here to start.
Yeah, let's do that. So the SAMR model is defined as the best practice in the area of education technology and how to kind of work through those beginning stages and then get into the final goal stage where we're really using technology effectively, not just as a tool, but as an education piece that allows us to drive learning in the right direction. So the model here kind of speaks to that. If we start at the top with substitution, that's something that's very easy to do. It's where the technology is a direct substitute. So for example, if I had a student in the past who was creating a report by writing it out on a piece of paper with paper pencil, that's a pretty common practice. It's been around for a long time. What happens in that substitution model is that rather than just writing with paper pencil, our students are creating that report in, say, a Google Doc or a Microsoft Doc, something that can be easily edited later without all the eraser marks and brushing away the dust from that. So we're able to quickly edit that and revise and all of those things that are important to the writing process. If we talk about it in respect to the second layer here, augmentation, technology is acting as a direct substitute still. We're subbing that paper pencil for the Google Doc, for example, but it also allows for functional improvement. So not only can we edit, revise, and change very easily with a few keyboard shortcuts like copy paste, but we're also able to share that easily and digitally with a teacher or instructor or even a peer who can give quick feedback and then make changes together. So it produces a scenario for active learning where we can type real time into a document and a teacher can give real time feedback as well. Taking it just a step further, we talk about modification. So this allows for a significant task redesign. So let's go back to that same book report example. And let's say that our student is writing a book report in a Google Doc. They've gone through the process. They've augmented with their teacher to be able to create that document together live when necessary. But in modification, we can also take that document and turn it into a video, let's say, or we take that same report and we turn it into a PowerPoint presentation. So now the student's able to present that same information, meet that same learning goal, but do it in a new, more creative way. We're finding that students are coming to us with a lot more knowledge in the area of technology than they were even 10 years ago. 4-year-olds are running smartphones and turning on the iPad without much assistance. Right. So it's important that we keep up with what our learners are already capable of and meet them where they are and grow them into something new. So the final stage here in the SAMR model that we kind of align ourselves with is the redefinition stage. So technology allows for the creation of a brand new task, something that was completely inconceivable. So let's say our student created a book report, and we've done that in the Google Doc, like I mentioned. Maybe they've transitioned that into a PowerPoint or into a video. Redefinition speaks to creating something brand new that we couldn't have even done 10 years ago, let's say. So the student has the opportunity to take that book report that they've created and turned into a video, and they can present that in YouTube form. So not only are they sharing that knowledge and information with their teacher, maybe with their peers, maybe with their school, but perhaps the teacher has a safe space YouTube channel that can be shared with students in another school building. So they're sharing information kind of globally, let's say, and it's always monitored by a teacher for safety, of course. And then I think we have one more model to kind of speak to a little bit. Perfect. So the Tpac model is something that we also hold very dear. I love when it's represented. This model can be represented several different ways, but I love when it's represented in this format as kind of an overlapping Venn diagram, because I think that really speaks to how our company is able to support our schools and kind of work in our school environment. So I know there are a lot of words and pieces and parts here, but just to break it down a little bit, each of the colored circles in the Venn diagram is representative of a piece that's important for technology integration and for content as well. So technical knowledge, I think that really speaks to the abilities and support that our technology teams offer. So that kind of yellow level of offering that often includes our leadership as well, having knowledge and experience in this area. And then the pedagogical knowledge, I think is something that we find our integration teams are kind of experts in. They really know how to use their education backgrounds and their knowledge of pedagogy to overlap with their knowledge of technology and programs and resources that are available to drive learning in the right direction. And they overlap those kind of together. And then the most important piece of this puzzle, and the only way that we're able to drive this, is by relying on the content knowledge. I feel like that's our teachers and our classroom experts that know their content back and forth. They know the standards their students need to meet. They know what the expectations are for their grade level or their content area. So I love that centerpiece of this Venn diagram that kind of allows all of those people to work together in, just a really collaborative relationship to make sure that we're providing the best education opportunities we can for our students, and we're keeping them engaged, and we're staying on top of the technology that they're probably already a little familiar with, and growing that into, the realm of learning.
Right. Yeah, thank you, Misty. These are great methodologies, not the only ones, but ones I know that we rely on, that educators understand the need to move with the SAMR model, move between stages and be able to really, like you said, meet students where they are. So, for sure. Thanks for the dialogue today.
Yeah,
I've had a good time going over, who Vartek is and what we're looking to do now and into the future. Yeah. So thanks.
Absolutely. It was a good time. I look forward to the next one.
Great. Have a good one.
Thanks, you too.